Prologue, Battle of the Stellar Nexus, the last stand of the SDC Endurance. In the cosmic theater of the universe, where celestial bodies glow with grandeur and the infinite black expanse stretches across eternity, the realm known as the Stellar Nexus comes alive. In this galactic tapestry, a burgeoning industry is founded on the speedy exchange of goods and resources, connecting far-flung worlds in an intricate dance of supply and demand. The trade routes within the Stellar Nexus serve as the lifeblood of diverse civilizations, and protecting these vital arteries is the Stellar Defense Corporation, SDC. Nathan Vex gripped the arms of his command chair as his ship, the SDC Endurance, a heavy cruiser-class starship, made its way through the infinity of the cosmos. His hardened gaze was fixed on the holographic projections of celestial bodies, the glow of distant stars reflected in his steely eyes. Commander Vex, his second-in-command, Lieutenant Mara Jex, broke the silence. "We are nearing the outskirts of our solar system. All systems are functioning within parameters. The Stellar Nexus continues to thrive." Vex nodded, his thoughts far from the pulsating heart of the Stellar Nexus. Instead, they were focused on an unknown threat that had recently emerged, threatening to fracture the intricate dance of supply and demand that connected far-flung worlds. Suddenly, a red alarm flared on the main console, its harsh light turning every face on the bridge towards it. "Incoming unknown object. High velocity. Captain." The sensor officer, Ensign Fenn, reported with a hint of fear in his voice. "Sound general quarters," Vex ordered calmly, his demeanor steadying the crew. "Lieutenant Jex, what's our nearest fallback position?" "The Technoclave, sir," Jex replied. "But it's hours away at full warp." "We don't have hours. The safety of the Nexus and billions of lives across the Technoclave depends on us." Vex's voice hardened with resolve. "We stand our ground here." As the Endurance maneuvered to face the unknown threat, Vex opened a secure line to the Technoclave. "This is Commander Nathan Vex of the SDC Endurance to the Technoclave. We are engaging an unidentified threat at the perimeter of the Nexus. Commence lockdown procedures and ready defense systems." The ensuing minutes felt like hours as the unknown object approached. The Endurance's artillery whirred into action, pouring energy into the void. The bridge echoed with the roar of cannons and the tense updates from the crew. Despite their efforts, the alien object proved resistant. The Endurance shuddered under a series of direct hits. Shields at 20%. The tactical officer, Lieutenant Eco, reported. Vex was silent for a moment, his gaze flitting across the battle-scarred vista of the Stellar Nexus. "Eco, set a collision course. Jex, prepare the crew for emergency evacuation. We are the guardians of the Nexus, and we will not falter in our duty." As the evacuation pods launched into the expanse of space, Vex remained on the bridge, facing the unknown object. With a heavy heart, he pushed the engines of the Endurance to their limits, driving the cruiser into a suicidal charge against the alien threat. In the final moments before the impact, Vex made one last broadcast. "This is Commander Vex, on behalf of the SDC and the countless lives in the Technoclave. We make our stand here. Remember us." With that, the Endurance plunged into the unknown object, the resulting explosion a beacon of sacrifice, illuminating the expanse of the Stellar Nexus. And thus, the saga of the SDC Endurance and her captain Nathan Vex, the steadfast sentinel of the cosmos, unfolded on the grand stage of the Stellar Nexus. 12 cycles have passed since the heroic sacrifice of the SDC Endurance. While its legacy has instilled a sense of unity, the ominous specter of the unknown threat has cast long shadows. Society wrestles with a renewed sense of vulnerability, grappling with the fear of the alien entity's potential return. This pervasive anxiety has birthed divisive entities, doomsday cults prophesying the aliens' return as an inevitable apocalypse, and controversial organizations exploiting this fear for their agendas. Both the SDC and Technoclave have been challenged by this societal unrest, their authority tested in the face of rampant fear-mongering. Amidst this turmoil, they strive to maintain the stability of the stellar nexus, a constant reminder that they must remain vigilant against threats, known and unknown. A new chapter in their saga begins, not just as the guardians of the Nexus, but also as the custodians of hope against an uncertain future. Chapter 1. A Stellar Opportunity. In the shimmering heart of Neo-Los Angeles, a city defined by towering skyscrapers that reach towards the star-strewn canopy and hover cars navigating autonomously through its vibrant arteries, resided Saphira. A committed nurse at the bustling central medical facility, she shared her off-duty hours with her son Zero in the warmth of their living quarters, a peaceful refuge amid the pulsating rhythm of the city. As another day waned, she invited him to the kitchen where they sat and ate dinner. Zero, a 5'2" lad of just 14 cycles, held a keen intelligence and insatiable curiosity in his radiant eyes. As clear as the turquoise canopy when the sun shone at high noon, his eyes gleamed with endless questions and theories about the world that whirled around them. Their dwelling was simple, yet warm, mirroring the residences of the city's crucial workforce. The heart of their home was a generous holographic window, mirroring the lively urban landscape. Its gentle luminescence painted their lives against the backdrop of the sprawling metropolis. Zero, Saphira initiated, her voice as tender as the dusk light enveloping their quarters. "How was your day of learning?" Zero's face brightened, reflecting the hues of the holographic sunset. "It was interesting, Mom. We delved into astrophysics today," he eagerly responded. His eyes gleamed with the novelty of knowledge before he quickly added, "But tell me about your day." Saphira's heart warmed at his genuine interest. "It was quite a whirl. As usual," she admitted, her eyes momentarily clouded with the memories of the countless lives she had encountered throughout the day. "Yet it's fulfilling, being there for people in their hour of need." "Like with Mrs. Kadanov?" Zero asked, referring to their elderly neighbor who had recently needed Saphira's medical expertise. Saphira nodded. "Yes, like with Mrs. Kadanov. Life here in Neo-Lay is a complicated dance, Zero. It's an intricate blend of opportunities and trials. My role as a nurse allows me to step into people's lives during some of their most testing moments." A shared silence bloomed between them, cradling unvoiced emotions and thoughts. Eventually, Zero broke the quiet. "Mom, I just want you to know, I'm proud of you. And Dad too." As Saphira looked into Zero's eyes, she felt a swell of affection for the thoughtful young man her son was becoming. Their lives in Neo-Lay are a testament to their shared journey of love, tenacity, and enduring hope. She turned to Zero with a glimmer of curiosity in her eyes. "So, you mentioned astrophysics today. That's your father's domain," she began, her voice holding a note of amusement. Zero chuckled. "I guess you could say that." His fingers danced along the edge of the bench, a habit he often displayed when he was deep in thought. "We were discussing stellar classification. How stars are categorized based on their spectral characteristics." Saphira nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "Ah, from O-type to N-type. The hottest to the coolest," she recalled, her memory retrieving the snippets from her school days. Zero's eyes widened in surprise. "You remember that, Mom?" "Of course, Zero. It's been a while, but I haven't forgotten everything from my school days," she replied, nudging him gently with her shoulder. "Besides, your father used to talk about stars a lot." An affectionate silence fell between them as they reminisced about the man who had been a pivotal part of their lives. Zero broke the silence, his voice softer. "I wish Dad were here to see me in school. He would have loved to discuss all this stuff with me." Saphira squeezed his hand, her voice a soothing balm. "Yes, he would have, Zero. But remember, he's always with us, in our hearts and our memories. He's proud of you, just as I am." Changing the tone, Saphira winked at Zero and asked, "And what about the other subjects? I hope you're not just acing astrophysics and forgetting the rest." He rolled his eyes playfully. "No, Mom. I'm doing pretty well in most of the subjects, and for those that I'm struggling with, I've got you to help me." Saphira laughed, ruffling his hair lovingly. "That you do, my little genius, and I wouldn't have it any other way." "Zero," she began, her voice steady despite the emotional weight of what she was about to say. "I want to talk to you about something important." He turned his gaze to her, his eyes reflecting the curiosity that always accompanied his mother's serious tone. "Your father was a soldier, Zero," she continued, her voice tender with the memory. "He dedicated his life to safeguarding the peace of our city, our world." Zero listened attentively, his young mind absorbing the gravity of his mother's words. He had heard tales of his father and had grown up with the knowledge that his dad had been a hero. But the notion of following in his father's footsteps had always been an abstract one, a thought he had never truly considered. "This is your chance to follow in his footsteps, to carry forward his legacy," Saphira went on, her hand reaching out to gently squeeze Zero. "The Celestial Guardian Institute, the very same military school your father attended, is now an option for you." His eyes widened, the implication of his mother's words hitting him with surprising force. He was quiet, grappling with a flurry of emotions and questions that threatened to overwhelm him. "I know it's a lot to take in," Saphira said, giving his hand another reassuring squeeze. "It's a demanding path, and it's not something to be taken lightly. But I believe in you, Zero. You have what it takes to become an incredible soldier, just like your father." As Zero absorbed her words, watching the sunset in the vast expanse of the holographic window, he felt a new sense of purpose stirring within him. A path had been presented to him, a path that could lead him to honor his father's legacy and discover his strength. And so, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun, a bond between mother and son was further deepened, their shared conversation etching a pivotal moment in their hearts, a moment that would set the stage for Zero's journey towards his destiny. In his sophomore year, he found an unexpected ally, his beacon in the storm. Her name was Lyra Oren. Towering over Zero at 5'6", Lyra was an athletic dynamo, a whirlwind on the rugby field, and a force to be reckoned with. She was the star of the school's hover rugby team, a natural leader with an infectious laugh, and a heart as vast as the universe itself. Lyra and Zero made an unlikely pair, the athletic champion and the intellectual prodigy. But they shared a common dream: to attend the Celestial Guardian Institute and become ace mech pilots. The Celestial Guardian Institute, located in the vibrant heart of Neo-Los Angeles, was a military powerhouse known across galaxies, renowned for its state-of-the-art combat facilities and complex mech piloting curriculum. It stood as a beacon in Zero Vex's future. A symbol of military and technological excellence, the Institute combined virtual reality simulations, AI-enhanced mech suits, and an expansive fleet of starships. The faculty, decorated veterans, and distinguished scientists utilized the interactive holographic modules to impart knowledge. However, the Institute was not merely a training ground. It molded the leaders of tomorrow, emphasizing strategy, leadership, and the ethics of power, aside from combat and piloting skills. Its alumni included decorated officers, esteemed scholars, and innovative minds that pushed technological boundaries. To Zero, this legendary institution represented a path to his dreams, commanding his starship and becoming an ace mech pilot. He understood the challenges that lay ahead, but the promise of the Celestial Guardian Institute made him determined to overcome them. Zero was at his locker, reviewing his notes for an upcoming robotics exam, when he felt a sudden shove from behind. His notes scattered to the floor, and he fell against the lockers with a wince. Turning around, he saw Garrick Sullivan smirking at him, the tall teen's green eyes glinting maliciously. Garrick's buddies snickered from behind him, causing a pang of embarrassment to rise in Zero's chest. "Watch where you're going, nerd," Garrick sneered, looming over Zero. Before Zero could respond, a clear, authoritative voice echoed through the hallway. "Hey, leave him alone, Garrick." Lyra Orion was striding towards them, her long, fiery hair streaming behind her. She stood tall, her strong, athletic build imposing against the metallic school lockers. Garrick's smirk faltered. He glanced from Zero to Lyra, scoffing. "What's this? Your girlfriend comes to your rescue. Vex." "She's not my girlfriend, she's my friend," Zero responded, standing tall despite his shorter stature. "And she's not here to rescue me. She's here to remind you of something you forgot. Respect." Lyra had reached them now, stepping between Zero and Garrick. Her icy blue eyes stared Garrick down. "He's right, Garrick. Just because you're physically bigger doesn't make you better. You're pathetic for picking on someone smaller than you." Garrick's face reddened, a scowl twisting his features. But before he could retort, Lyra cut him off. "And if I ever see you bullying Zero or anyone else again, I'll have no problem demonstrating how we deal with bullies on the hover rugby field." Garrick's friends fell silent, their earlier laughter completely extinguished. With one last glare, Garrick muttered an insult under his breath and stalked off. Once Garrick was out of sight, Lyra turned to Zero, her stern expression softening. "You okay, Z?" she asked, helping him collect his scattered notes. "Yeah, I'm fine," Zero responded, a grateful smile spreading across his face. "Thanks, Lyra." Lyra simply shrugged, her cheeks reddening slightly. "What are friends for, right? Now, let's get you ready for that exam." Zero admired Lyra's strength and courage. Lyra, in turn, appreciated Zero's intellect and determination. They supported each other and pushed each other to become better, not just for the Institute's entrance exams, but for life itself. And through it all, their shared dream shone brighter, propelling them forward. The Celestial Guardian Institute was their shared goal, a symbol of their dreams and ambitions. For Zero, it meant an opportunity to be an ace mech pilot. For Lyra, it meant leading her team. They inspired each other in and out of the classroom, moving closer to their goals. Their story was a testament to their resilience, proving that bullies could not derail their dreams. And most importantly, it emphasized the strength of their friendship, formed under the harsh glare of adversity, and nurtured in the crucible of shared dreams and aspirations. The final week of sophomore year came to a close with the posting of exam results. Zero and Lyra stood outside the main hall, scanning the list for their names. Zero found his name at the top of the list with perfect scores, while Lyra also held a solid position with a significant improvement in her scores. Zero grinned at her. "Well, I knew I would ace it, but look at you, Ms. Rugby Star. That's an impressive score, Lyra." Lyra blushed slightly, nudging him with her shoulder. "I had a good tutor, didn't I?" "Thank you, Z." They walked away from the crowd, heading towards their favorite spot under an old, massive bioluminescent tree. Its soft, pulsating glow painted a serene ambience. "So, what's on the agenda for the break?" Zero asked, adjusting his glasses. "I'll have some rugby practice, but apart from that, no plans," Lyra responded, plucking a luminescent leaf. "What about you?" "Well, I have a robotics project that I'll be working on," Zero replied. "I'll be enhancing an AI for a mini-mech." Lyra rolled her eyes playfully. "So basically, a break that doesn't sound like a break. We need to have some fun too. Z, how about we plan some trips to the Neo Beach, or perhaps try out that new zero-gravity arcade downtown?" Zero nodded. "Sounds fun, Lyra. We can do that." They sat in silence for a while, soaking in the calm evening. Then Lyra broke the silence. "You know, Zero, I've been thinking about the Celestial Guardian Institute. I'm going to apply as soon as we graduate. What about you?" Zero looked at her with a determined expression. "Of course, Lyra. That's always been the plan. We'll be the best mech pilots the Institute has ever seen." Lyra grinned, bumping her shoulder against his. "That's the spirit, Z. The Celestial Guardian Institute won't know what hit them when we storm in." Laughing, they started planning their break, their dreams of the Institute shining brightly in their hearts. The school break had started, and Zero spent his days exploring the hidden corners of Neo-Los Angeles in search of discarded parts for his personal mech suit. He loved the city's juxtaposition of old and new, where century-old architecture coexisted with neon billboards and hovering transports. One day, he was making his way home through the narrow alleyways, carrying a bag full of salvaged parts, when a familiar voice echoed around him. "Hey, Vex. Fancy meeting you here," Garrick sneered, emerging from the shadows with a few of his goons. Zero's heart pounded in his chest, but he kept his face impassive. "What do you want, Garrick?" "Just to have a chat, little Vex," Garrick responded, slowly circling Zero. "Just you and me this time. No girlfriend to protect you." "I don't need Lyra to stand up to you," Zero retorted, clutching his bag tighter. Garrick laughed, a malicious glint in his eyes. "Is that so? Let's test the theory, shall we?" The fight that ensued was far from fair, a brutal dance of fists and shadows in the dimly lit alley. Garrick was a large, imposing figure, his years of hover rugby training making him quick and powerful. Zero, stocky and compact, lacked Garrick's formal training, but had a certain resilience that refused to yield easily. Zero ducked a swing from Garrick, retaliating with a punch to his midsection. But the blow barely seemed to faze Garrick. Before Zero could react, another of Garrick's goons lunged at him, landing a punch on Zero's left side. A sharp pain lanced through him, stealing his breath. Zero gritted his teeth, trying to fend off the goon with a well-placed punch. He was aware of his environment, looking for anything that might give him an edge. He saw an old, rusty pipe lying a few feet away and lunged for it, swinging it at his attackers. He managed to land a solid hit on one of the goons, but Garrick was quick to react, his fist crashing into Zero's face. Zero stumbled back, tasting blood. His vision blurred momentarily, and he felt a sudden, searing pain in his ribs. The world spun around him as he clutched his side, wincing at the sharp pain. He had been hit hard, possibly cracking a rib. Despite the pain, he made a desperate move to escape, trying to use the pipe to ward off his attackers. But heat was weakening, his movements becoming sluggish. Garrick took advantage of this, landing a swift punch that sent him sprawling onto the concrete, his glasses flying off his face. Zero groaned, his body screaming in pain. He reached into his pocket, managing to pull out his communicator and send a distress signal to Lyra, attaching his location before everything went black. Zero awoke in a brightly lit hospital room, the familiar scent of sterile tools and the hum of medical equipment filling his senses. His body throbbed, and when he tried to sit up, a sharp pain coursed through him. He squinted against the harsh lights, and a familiar figure came into focus. "Mom," he rasped, "did I just get hit by a hover bus? Or was it just Garrick?" Saphira's face broke into a small smile despite the worry in her eyes. "More like Garrick's fist, sweetheart," she replied, gently stroking his hair. "The nurse says you have a concussion, a broken nose, a few bruised ribs, and a fractured wrist, so you better stay put and take it easy." Zero rolled his eyes. "Great. Now I have more fractures than I have friends." Over the next few days, Lyra's visits were a bright spot in the sterile hospital room for Zero. She brought not only his favorite key lime cake and lemon-flavored cookies, but also light-hearted banter and a steady stream of school gossip. One day, between bites of the tangy key lime cake, Lyra looked at Zero seriously. "You know, I regret dating Garrick," she confessed. "But seeing you stand up to him, it made me realize how wrong I was about him. You're one of the few guys who's had the guts to face him." Zero swallowed, giving her a surprised look. "Well, brains always beat brawn, Lyra. It was about time someone showed him that." Lyra chuckled, but there was a twinge of regret in her smile. "I'm just sorry it had to be you, Zero. You didn't deserve any of this." He waved her off. Don't worry about it, Lyra. Garrick's the one who should be sorry. Later, as a nurse came in to check on Zero's vitals, Lyra leaned in, lowering her voice. And by the way, some rumors are going around school, she added, grimacing a little. We're dating now. Zero choked on his cookie, eyes widening in surprise. What? Why would they think that? Lyra shrugged. Probably because Garrick's been saying it. He's just a jealous bully, Zero. I'm sorry. Zero coughed, trying to regain his composure. Well, if we have to fake date to get Garrick off our backs, I've had worse things happen to me. Like, you know this. He gestured to his hospital bed, and they both burst into laughter. Through all the laughter and banter, the dream of attending the Celestial Guardian Institute never wavered. If anything, Zero's resolve to prove himself and become a mech pilot was only strengthened by this experience. Lyra's visits, his mother's support, and his resilience helped Zero start his journey to recovery with determination and hope.